Oh, hi there. Wanted to make a quick video. I have to get going actually, so this one will not be particularly long. Uh, there's a subject I had been thinking about. Um, I was kind of hoping to have more time to talk about it, but whatever. I believe that there are secret medical facilities for the purpose of human experimentation. Uh, this is not Frankenstein's creation. Okay, that's not exactly what I mean by that. Um, I believe that there are selected individuals, uh, probably against their will, um, whom the moment they're born, they're put into a controlled environment. And they're there for many years, if not their entire lives. And the reason for this is they want to control all the information that individual could possibly know. Theoretically, it's like they're in a prison. I did see a Facebook post where there was a child's nursery, and really what it was like a prison. It had concrete walls, and it had kind of like a operation center with like a glass window. Okay, sure, it had flowers and balloons and things like that painted on the walls, but essentially it was a prison. And I saw, um, baby toys around and things like that. I didn't actually get to read the article because I was just browsing through it while I was at work. Um, I wish I had read it. It may have just been a propaganda piece. In fact, it would have been just a propaganda piece. But it may have introduced new ideas. Because the thing is, if you're brought up in a controlled environment where you're isolated from the outside world, any intellectual and social stimuli can be introduced at whoever's decision. Um, a person in that situation, there's many things. One, they may not even know that they're entrapped. They may not know that. They probably don't. They're probably content with where they are. They're not interested in seeing the outside world because they don't know anything about it, or they can think anything about it because the information about the outside world, is controlled. So perhaps when they get older, really they're just in a room and they got a computer with the internet. Maybe that's their only source of information. And all the information that they get on their internet is controlled. This illusion that you can just learn how to be a hacker, or, the internet is a place of information and you can learn anything on the internet, is not true. There's lots of things you can't learn on the internet. It's impossible. Because anyone who posts that particular media that discusses it gets silenced. It's all done electronically. So there's no way that certain information can pass. The days with hackers living in their basement and them being smelly and eating pizza and being greasy are over. It's all done by people in suits in cubicles in government buildings. And you may go, well, what possible advantage would there be to raising an infant to adulthood in a controlled environment like that? Well, you can condition them to behave exactly the way you want them to. Perhaps the outside world's not particularly safe for them because their father, grandfather, whoever was a military war hero, and there are a lot of people that want to get him because of that, and they just attack the lineage. Perhaps that's a reason. There's probably dozens, if not hundreds, of reasons why they may do this. Also, another reason is they want to create super soldiers. They constantly train physically and psychologically for battle. They figure out how to feed them the least amount of food possible while maintaining maximum strength. There's those that are experimented on for medical reasons, to test new cures, to test new procedures, to figure out exactly what causes certain conditions. I don't know, esophageal cancer is greatly associated with alcohol and tobacco. People who smoke too much and drink too much have a high risk of getting esophagus cancer. That's something that's been learned over time, but it could be learned more efficiently, quickly, and with more accurate information if the test patient is in a controlled surrounding. Now, you ain't gonna find much of this information on the internet, because obviously it's supposed to be a secret and no one's supposed to know. They don't want people going, well, there's actually really serious, very psychologically crazy and powerful individuals that have the capability to literally do inhumane things to innocent people for the purpose of advancing science. As I've said in previous videos, I am not one of these idiots who just goes, oh, where's the link, where's the description, where's this, where's that, it's not on Wikipedia, therefore it doesn't exist. You're stupid. It's as simple as that. You're stupid. You need to be told what to think, or you don't think. Also, a super soldier doesn't necessarily mean, Universal Soldier, Jean-Claude Van Damme, or Soldier, Kurt Russell. It's actually kind of funny. I hadn't watched those movies in years because I watched them when I was younger, and then anytime it ever got brought up, I was told how stupid that movie is. They're all stupid. In fact, I even got confused with Universal Soldier and Soldier. I thought Kurt Russell was in Universal Soldier, but that's not important. Those movies, although presented in kind of caricature type of way, from what I watched last night, I didn't watch too much because I was feeling kind of sick, are actually, kind of good movies in the sense of they paint a picture of a caricature of something that could possibly be real, and I think is. It went on major movie picture screen. Why couldn't it be somewhat real? Anyway, so it's not just the physical aspect of sending soldiers out to go do whatever, elite troops. It's not just that. It's also creating celebrities, internet trolls who are programmed to know how to immediately respond or behave or discuss whatever they're supposed to, and in a controlled way, so that their behavior is always predictable. They always know how they're going to react, and they're always obedient. Whereas me, I like to think I have an unrestricted mind. If someone's going to dictate to me how I should think and how I should feel about something, I'm not always going to resist, but that's only because I may agree with some aspects of it. But if I don't agree with it, they're not going to convince me to agree with it. However, if you're in a controlled environment, and the only social stimuli you've ever had is what's been dictated to you, you may not even have a choice in your head, and you may not even know that. You just may think you have free will, but something like free will, the definition of that varies from person to person. Some people feel free will is having a decision, and whether it was your idea or not, and you can get really angry about it and nobody can change your mind, and that's free will. Other people go, well, I'm open to discussion, debate, I can change my mind about things. I don't have this emotional attachment to a belief that I have to get, it has to be my way. I can't take it any other way. I mean, of course, you gotta be a little bit like that or you're just a pushover. But, yeah, it's the whole Matrix ideology. Don't get me wrong, I did not like that movie. That movie sucked. But the whole scheme where Morpheus is explaining about how Keanu Reeves is the battery is quite accurate. I may have mentioned this in a previous video. I can't remember now because I don't actually watch the videos I make after I make them. I just, as I'm making them, I make the decision if I like it or not, and then I put them up, and then I kind of forget about them. But anyway. Yeah, and there's more than one way you can be in a controlled environment. That your social stimuli is controlled. And it's pretty low down and dirty tricks that can enable that. Basically, if in any surrounding you're in, if a few people have to deal with you because that's just the surrounding you're in, and they don't like you, and there's more than one of them, more than you, they can start a discussion about you where you're not involved and say whatever malicious things they want about you, and then therefore any new person entering the social scene gets that story and immediately doesn't like you. Because anybody can paint a story about anybody in a negative light. It's not actually very difficult to do. And sometimes that social stigma just takes forever to go away, even if there's no evidence to back it up. And it could be all kinds of slanderous things they could say. It could boil down to petty jealousy too, because usually women are instigators of a lot of these problems. Usually it's between a guy and another guy, and the other guy wants to go with a chick, and the other guy wants to go with a chick. And the chick likes both guys, and it just boils down to petty jealousy. If I'm not gonna argue the toss for a chick, I'm handsome enough. I can go get another one. Anyway, that coupled with this immediate sense of isolation. And it's more effective if you're slightly younger. Like, I'm 30 years old. I've been somewhat socially isolated I felt that way for a good 10 years. But while I was back in high school, I didn't have a very active social life. But I didn't feel socially isolated because I felt like I could interact, I could make decisions at will, and I could create social stimuli for myself. Whereas the last number of years, I've taken to the internet and made YouTube videos, put up propaganda on my Facebook, whatever. And I feel that's my only outlet to the world because I don't get a chance to discuss many of my ideas. I do get to a little bit, which is nice, but not nearly as much as I would like to. Because there are real ways to be successful in life, and I'm working on that to better my situation. So anyway, the gist of what I'm saying is, I think, in a sense, I'm in a controlled environment, that I'm only receiving certain social stimuli, which is not very often, and it's usually cryptic or vague or uninteresting. I've made over 30 hours of content on YouTube. Do I get very much in the way of interesting information going my way? No, I don't. I get the same rhetoric crap that everyone gets. And it's boring. It doesn't cater to my beliefs. It doesn't necessarily have to, But I think my opinion could be popular enough that it should warrant that kind of information being available. But it's not. Because I have my beliefs about certain things. So anyway, I just really yearn to have good conversation with people, social stimuli, being able to interact in the real world, and there are various factors of why I feel like I'm just almost like an experiment or something. Because like I've been a patient in mental health for 6.5 years. People already didn't like me in my workplace. There's a controlled scene where I make enough money there that I'm not going to quit, and nothing's going to happen. But I don't. Things aren't normal. It's very, very difficult to describe. And like I said, the only option I had was to take to social media to have some sort of a social life, a real one. Because people, and it's not just work, it's everywhere else in my life, my family life, my going downtown life, and everywhere else. It's like people don't want to have a conversation, and they use mechanisms to prevent them from being one. And they're not intelligent. It's just like it usually boils down to like a grunt or a stern look or a word, a singular word that ends the conversation. And that, after a while, anybody's got to notice that there's something not quite right here, that something's amiss. And I'm a man who does things in an obvious sort of way, and yet I've not been approached by anything. I went downtown wearing a Donald Trump hat. Not a single word from anybody. Not a single word. And judging by the media on the television, you'd think that a swarm of anti-Trump protesters would come get you. I almost was interested in seeing that happen, just to see how they react. But nothing. Not a damn thing. And it's like every time I think of something almost odd to do a social experiment with, it always leads to the same thing. Nothing really happens. It's always a vague story. And it's just like, what? I refuse to believe that I'm not interesting and that I don't have any stories. So, getting back to my main topic, which was the secret medical facilities that are experimenting on human behavior thing. This happens over the course of generations. You could be born as an infant, conditioned in a controlled environment for X amount of years, maybe forever, until you die, for whatever purpose they need you to be. Perhaps they want to train people to be rocket scientists or something like that, and they want the best and brightest, and their profession is chosen for them at birth, and everything surrounding that idea is just meant to build up this job description that they wanted them to do. Because I'll make another video later. I actually have to go. But we'll see. Talk to you guys later.